Good evening, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the Bigger Picture webinar for Sunday, the 17th of May. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own shots, and I'm not here to shoot trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at CTM The Bigger Picture.substack.com, and it's published on YouTube after a delay of a week. All right, great. Let's have a look at ES. We're watching the prices after it is open tonight, and so far it's continuing down. So we're actually down about 6. We had a little high after the open tonight, and we're down about 50 handles from that high. So and we're continuing down. I have put in 3 possible head and shoulder necklines here. We've obviously gone through the first one. We're coming up to the second. They're all fairly close to each other, and these are possibilities if we are going to basically see a bit of a bounce and then go lower. I am particularly interested in this one, as that would suggest a bounce back to the weekly pivot area at 74.45, and then come back down, and then probably go lower. I read a post on Friday talking about talking about the I wasn't expecting to go much higher. I think I might have actually been writing at the time of the high. So we've seen a significant move down from there, and we had a 1% day. We had a 1% down day, which was basically the first one we've had in this run. We've had a hell of a run, and I suspect that it's probably over. So it could be that we're going to go back and retest the high and possibly make a new high, but I really don't think there's much upside left in here. We shall see. We'll talk more about that on the bigger picture charts. Looking at NQ, we've seen a breakdown below rising support there too. Saw one on ES, saw one on NQ, and I've got a possible head and shoulder neckline here too, and I've got that one. Hang on, wait a second. I've only really got one there. It could be an asymmetric double top support, but I've got that in about the 28,750 area, and I will be watching that if we get there, which it looks like we might. RTY. Now, RTY, this was one of the reasons I was thinking we might go a bit higher, and we had a bull flag. It broke up, but as you can see, it's rejected from the break up. It may be going to break down, in which case we will no longer have a bull flag looking for a retest of the high on IWM. I've got a big head and shoulder neckline here too. I've got that in about the 2730 area, and if we go through this trend line here, then I think at that stage the bull flag is likely a write-off, and that would be the next big support I was looking for. In terms of YM, we've actually got a double top here, which is actually broken down tonight with a target in about the 48,500 area. That would get us down to and potentially below the monthly pivot at 48,651. Which would be interesting. DAX and ESTX, possible double top on DAX, possible double top on ESTX, both fairly sizable ones, and we've got a small double top which is already broken down on Nikkei with a target in the 59,500 area. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Okay, SPX. SPX, we've got here, this is something I was showing on a different chart, but basically this is the pattern from the 2022 low, and this looks an awful lot like a high for that move from the 2022 low. This is what I was writing about 3 weeks ago. I was talking about a move up to reach a significant trend line to finish the move, and well, I think this may well have been that hit. In terms of the, we also saw a big enough day on Friday that we had a week. We had an RSI 5 sell signal fixed here already. We've now got that reconfirmed on the way down. And if we have a look at Qs, we had a weak RSI 5 sell signal. We've now got a full size one. If we have a look at Dia, this one wasn't going to change because we'd gone below the 50 level. We've still got a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed there. And if we have a look at IWM, then we've got an RSI 14 sell signal that's fixed. We weren't going to get one without. We could have got an RSI 5 one if we'd had a retest of the high, but at the moment we haven't seen that, and we've broken. You can see below the daily middle band, which was obviously the first significant support break we'd seen on any of these. Dia didn't do that. It came back, tested the daily middle band, or at least almost. That hasn't broken below that yet. And at the moment, Qs and SPX, which were the strongest, are not close to their daily middle bands. But IWM is actually showing some real technical weakness now. In terms of ES, broke the rising support trend line there too. I've got a whole load of patterns which look as though they are starting to break down. In terms of the hourly chart, we've still got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, and I'm expecting likely see that play out in the next day or two. Here I've got the main possible head and shoulder neckline in the 6338 area. And another possible smaller one slightly below it, just above the 7300. I think there's a pretty good chance we're going to be heading down to that area next. And we shall see. Would I like to see a retest of the high first? I would love to see a high retest first. Don't know whether we're going to get one though. In terms of the 15-minute chart, nice little rising wedge from the low. You remember when we were here, I was saying that we didn't really have a decent pattern of any kind, so I was kind of leaning towards it going higher. This is us going higher, and this is now a nice looking rising wedge. It is overthrown and it is broken down. I'm now looking for a reversal pattern. In fact, probably more than one reversal pattern, really. It's I'm thinking a smaller one, maybe take us lower, or set up a retest to the high to set up the same smaller one in a different form, and then go down and maybe find support into this 7,050 area, possible head and shoulder neckline there. But I'm thinking get a smaller pattern, come down, start forming a larger pattern, and then go down. But this process might get considerably accelerated by the news. There is serious talk that we're going to see the Iran war hot up again next week with a major attack from the US. And if that's the case, then all bets are off. We might just go down. So we shall see. All right, looking at the Qs. NDX, by the way. This is... I didn't get a perfect touch on the trend line I was showing here, but I did get one on this chart here. The difference being, of course, this is a log chart. Again, it's from the 2022 low, but here on NDX, tend to be better off working with a log chart than the conventional ones, just because the moves have been so huge. And here, a beautiful touch there. So I'm thinking this may be the main pattern I'm watching when I'm looking for a potential fall to the pattern support, which I've got currently at about the 20,500 area. All right, looking at the Qs on the daily chart, we've got obviously an RSI 5 sell signal fixed. Nice move down. At the moment, I'd be treating probably this as the resistance trend line, with this being a bearish overthrow, but obviously we've not yet broken back below it. In terms of the hourly chart, we've still got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed. This narrow pattern here has now broken support, and on the 15-minute chart, waiting for a possible head and shoulders form, and if so, I've got the right shoulder. Sorry, I've got the neckline in about the likely neckline in about the 696 area. All right, looking at Dow. Dow, did we hit a bigger picture trend line on that? Oh yeah, but we hit that a while ago, and this is actually for the pattern from the 2020 low, and it's nice and it's pretty solid, and this is an okay double top, but really I much prefer it when you see the second high being marginally higher, and we've not quite reached that, I don't think. Although actually, sorry, I'm just going to check something. All right, did we actually see a high? I've been watching Dia and assuming it would be the same, but actually that's not necessarily true. Let's have a look at... All right, hang on. No, we didn't make the retest on that either. So, all right, just wanted to check that. But I think ideally it would go back and retest that high, but obviously it may not. We may be about to break down already. We shall see how that goes. We've now got fixed sell signals, mostly full ones, on all four of these main indices. And I think we are topping out for a significant move down, and we may actually be looking at a pretty significant high. In terms of the hourly chart, no current divergence, but I was looking at this RSI 14 and RSI 5 buy signal fixed on the 15-minute chart. These might just get run over tomorrow, but that will be an interesting thing to see. Now, next week, in terms of the historical stats, we've basically got neutral all week, apart from a pretty bearish day on Tuesday. We will see how that goes. Following week tends to be pretty bullish. Obviously, Memorial Day is on Monday, the 25th of May. And then we've got 3 bullish days in a row on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So if we are going to see some significant downside, now would be this coming week, would be a very good time to see that. All right, let's have a look at IWM. And hang on. All right. Now, on the bigger picture, do we have a big pattern here? And actually, the answer is no, because we had this very long, when the others were mainly having a bullish time, IWM was having a very difficult 2022 and took a long time to get off the ground. So we do have a pattern from the 2023 low potentially. But the main pattern I'm looking at is actually the pattern from the 2025 low in April, from where we have seen some pretty significant gains. In terms of the chart here, we've got a pretty nice looking rising wedge from there, and again, another perfect touch of the high. It's very nice. Watching for a potential head and shoulders form here too, and I've got the possible head and shoulder neckline in the 270 area. In terms of the hourly chart, no current divergence, but we will see how that goes. In the terms of the short-term pattern from the March low, this is a pretty clear rising wedge. It's broken down. It does look as though it might be forming a bull flag here, and I am still wondering about a retest of this high here. So we shall see whether we get that next week. Got to say, the action after the open tonight has not been particularly encouraging. So we shall see. All right, in terms of DAX, I was saying we probably wouldn't reach the high. I've got a possible head and shoulder neckline here with a large head and shoulders potentially forming, but I'd be looking ideally for a smaller pattern as well. We'll see if we get one. In terms of Nikkei, we've got an RSI 5 sell signal fixed and now reconfirmed, and we've got a nice looking little level top here, which is already broken down, but is doing better towards the targets here than it is on the future. Main thing I'm watching next is the daily middle band, which I've got at 63.95, and we've got a couple of possible head and shoulder necklines down here in the 58,500 to 59,000 area. All right, let's have a look at the dollar. Okay, dollar. Now we've been seeing a move up on oil. We've been seeing and last time we saw this, and it was connected with the war, we were seeing a move up in the dollar. At the same time, we were seeing a move down on bonds, and we were seeing a move down on precious metals, and so far, we're seeing exactly the same. In terms of the DX pattern here, haven't really got one here, but we've got this double bottom which has broken up with probably a target about the 99.6 area, but it's a little oversized because really I tend to ignore all the targets after it gets to the prior high, so it's a bit too large to be a decent bottoming pattern. But we do have a potential larger double bottom here which is trying to break up, and actually this one would be referenced from here, so that actually has a chance of getting us back up into the high. I'll talk more about that on the bigger picture chart. In terms of the others, USD hasn't failed the IHS yet, but it doesn't look as though it's going to make the target. GBP USD, I've got a double top that's broken down with a target in the 1.3234 to 1.3294 range. And we're getting towards that first target. We do have a weak 6-minute buy signal fixed. And on the euro, we've also got a weak 6-minute buy signal fixed. In terms of USD/JPY, we've got a double bottom here, which is broken up with the target at basically at a retest of the April high. I'm thinking it may well get there. I will note that last time we got there, we had an intervention from the Japanese government, which was this very sharp move down. They may defend that again. If it doesn't, I'm very much looking forward to a retest of 1.62 on the bigger picture. We've got a possible 60-minute sell signal brewing here. In terms of USD CAD, we've got an IHS which is broken up with a target in the 1.387 area. Australian dollar, possible head and shoulder neckline here just above 0.71, and support from the monthly pivot in the same area. NZ, not really seeing an obvious pattern here. It does look like a head and shoulders might form, but it's really too big to be. Well, it's very, very much on the edges of how large it would need to be a head and shoulders. It's too large relative to the preceding low. So watching with interest for that, and we might see that form in sympathy with the one on the Australian dollar. All right, let's have a look at those on the bigger picture chart. And all right, US dollar. We've still got a monthly RSI 5 buy signal fixed. We've still got a lovely bull flag here, particularly obvious when you look at the chart here. This is a lovely bull flag, and I'm thinking if we see real trouble erupt from Iran, then it looks as though this might give the DX a real boost, which could possibly, no, I'm just saying possibly, get us back up to a retest of this high here at 114.78. I would love to see that, and if we did see that, I'd be thinking that was the second high of a double top. In terms of the shorter term chart, we have a double bottom which is broken up with a target in the 104.572 to 105.239 range. We have seen a sharp retracement from there, but this is a potential little double bottom, as you can see here. That's breaking up slightly, and that would have a target basically. It's a little oversized, but that's got a target basically at a retest of 100.64, and I'd be leaning towards it making that target. No current divergence worth the mention. We've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal here, but that reaches possible near miss target. The sell signal on the RSI 5 that we got at the same time made target quite a while ago. All right, in terms of the euro, obviously, if we do get that bull flag move, then we've got a corresponding bear flag on the euro. We've got a corresponding bear flag on GBP USD. In terms of USD JPY, we could be forming a double top here, but I'd love to see a retest of 1.62, and it could go a bit higher. If the dollar did go up an awful lot, we might actually see USD JPY break up here, though. We've got a very nice looking bear flag rising megaphone here, and we could easily lose that. Although it depends how aggressively the Japanese government defends the currency. In terms of USD CAD overall, we've basically just been trading a range for 11 years. And we could get back to the top of that range and maybe see a bullish move afterwards. In fact, arguably, this is basically an overall rectangle with clearly defined bottom, clearly defined top, in which case, potentially, we could see a breakup, which could get us back up into the 1.76 area. That involves the USD CAD basically going down an awful lot, because USD CAD, of course, when it goes up, the Canadian dollar is getting weaker. In terms of Australian dollar, we've got a nice looking little double top here, and I'd be wondering if we saw a big move about a retest this low here at 0.551, possibly to make the second low of a double bottom. In terms of NZ, we've been forming a triangle here for basically 5 years. And we're trying to break up from it slightly here, but if the dollar's going to see a move up, this is probably a bearish overthrow, and we're probably going to break down. Again, we could see some serious action to the downside here, potentially take us back to this low here at 0.39, which wouldn't be a bad target from a breakdown of a triangle of this size. We shall see how that goes. All right, in terms of the shorter term on those, USD, we got nothing. Big double top, which is broken down, but we haven't got anything in the way of signals. In terms of GBP USD, we got nothing as well. It's what I'd like to see on the downside is a break of the rising wedge support in the 1.31 area, and then we've got the double top support in about the 130 area. Sustained break below that double top could get us back down into about the 121 to 123 area. In terms of USD JPY, we have got a weak RSI 14 sell signal, but it's reached the possible near miss target. We could be forming a double top setup here, but realistically, if the dollar's going to go up a lot, this is going to go up too. Where would that go to? Well, as I said, 162, but if we get much larger than that, over about, well, actually about 170, then we would be risking breaking up over this megaphone, which I would prefer not to see. We shall see. But at the moment, we're holding just above this big rally high that we saw back in 1990. And we've not seen a big breakthrough. I'm concerned we might get one. We shall see. All right, looking at USD CAD. Not really seeing a sort of loss in the terms of these short-term patterns, but we do have a potential head and shoulders forming here. And probably I'll draw this in just to show it to you. So bear with me a second. This would be it here. That's the possible head and shoulders that is forming here, but I don't particularly like it because the right shoulder here is below this high here. And that's not something I particularly like to see on a head and shoulders. So it's not a high quality pattern in my view. All right, let's have a look at, which is why it's not been marked in on a more permanent basis. In terms of Australian dollar, we've got a nice looking potential level top or part formed head and shoulders. And on NZ, not all sure what's happening here really, but there's no really obvious pattern that springs to the eye in terms of a top and pattern. We shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at bonds. All right, ZB. I've been saying for weeks that I was leaning fairly strongly bearish on bonds, and well, here we are. So this was likely to be a bear flag. We went back, we retested this low. We have continued down. I've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing here, and I'm thinking we might see a rally, and I'm thinking we might see a rally on equities too, into ideally the close tomorrow, and then we go down again on Tuesday. We shall see whether we get that. In terms of ZN, that again, we tested the low and has continued lower. I have drawn in a possible falling megaphone here, but it all depends whether we make a low in this area. We've got a tiny bit of positive divergence here, but it is currently very weak. We shall see how that develops. All right, let's have a look at that on the bigger picture chart, and interesting things are happening with the triangles. So in terms of TYX, obviously on the bigger picture, this is a potential inverted head and shoulders, and we're back up pretty close to a test of the neckline. In terms of the triangles, I looked at this. I was thinking this was a rising wedge, but it's not. It's an ascending triangle. Can break either way, but the target, well, would be considerably higher. But we're actually very close to testing the resistance here. Now, this is both a triangle resistance, but it's also range resistance. We've tested it here, we've tested it here. This is over a period of about 3 years, and this is a third test. This one might see a breakthrough. In terms of the daily chart, we had a weak RSI 5 sell signal fixed. I'm thinking that may fail this week, and we're getting pretty close to a retest of this high here at 51.53, which was a marginal increase over this high a couple of years earlier at 51.52. All right, looking at TNX, we've got the same possible inverted head and shoulders forming here, but we're not as close to the neckline. We'd need to get up into about the 49 area to get there. In terms of the weekly chart, we've got a triangle here, and we're, again, very close to triangle resistance. I've been talking about these as the targets for months, and we're very close to reaching them. In terms of the daily chart, sorry, this is the other weekly chart. You can see we're almost there at the test. Once this breaks up, because normally this is a bull flag setup, I'd expect to see a retest of 49.97, and then we would see whether it would stop there. In terms of the daily chart, the weak RSI 14 sell signal not fixed is close to failing, and so is the RSI 5 sell signal that's fixed. We are seeing a nice looking breakup. I can see no reason to think that's about to end. Hourly chart, not a lot to see. FVX, we've got a triangle here. This one's a little messier, and at the moment we've broken over the trend line there. In terms of TLT, we've got overall not really got a good handle on what this is, but I think this is a bearish triangle which has formed. So you can see the triangle here, and I was saying if this was going to be on the same schedule as TNX and TYX, then it was going to go down into triangle resistance, and that's where it's going. That's at about the 82.5 area, and we're getting pretty close to it. In terms of the daily chart, we had a buy signal there too, and that has already failed. On the hourly chart, not a lot to see. But really, I'm expecting bonds to go down more, bonds yields to go up more, and bonds to go down more, and I'm expecting that to continue. We may see an extreme move here. I am wondering whether we might start seeing these inverted head and shoulder patterns break up and start making tracks towards their targets this summer. If we see a crisis of confidence in the bond market, we could see that. Moody's just downgraded the US Treasuries from AAA to AA1, so it's been on the slide, and it's on the slide for good reasons. Obviously, the deficit is out of control. Politicians don't seem in any way interested in doing anything about it. This is a problem. In terms of it as a big investment that's viewed as essentially risk-free, because the more indebted the US becomes, the less risk-free that becomes. All right, let's have a look at oil. Okay, looking at oil. This is Brent. We've got a possible weak 6-minute sell signal brewing, but basically we've been making tracks towards the retest of this high here at 115. If we do see the hot war restart in Iran, then I am expecting this to go an awful lot higher. One thing I was watching a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to be clipping it into a post, which I'm planning to do next week, is a comment from Trump when he was saying that really he'd expected on this Iran war to see oil go up to between $200 and $300 a barrel, and for the stock market to drop 25%. So he thought we were doing pretty well. And I am inclined to agree with those numbers. It's just that I don't think they're behind us. I don't think that this crisis has passed. I think it's ahead of us. So I am genuinely thinking this may well head up over $200. And actually, if it was to make a new all-time high on an inflation-adjusted basis, it would need to get up to about 225. This would obviously be an awful lot higher than it is now. But I'm thinking all of these, once the hot war starts again, if it does, but it does look like, unless Trump's going to walk away, I'm not seeing really what other options he's had. So, and the Israelis are making noises suggesting that the hot war is about to start again in the near future. CL has just made a higher high over this level here. This isn't the highest level it's reached in this crisis. Obviously, this is only the front month. But it's moving in that direction. HO is pretty close to the highs. RBOB is basically at the highs. NG, not really the same. We've got an IHS which is broken up with a target in the 3.17 area. I'd love to see that make that target. After that, I'm thinking we could resume the downtrend, but I'm keeping an open mind because we do have, if you have a look at the watch list I've got here, I've shown this a few times before, this is kind of an expectation of where prices are going, and you can see we've hit a low. It could be, and seasonally, we would basically kick around here for the next 5 months, and then we would move up significantly into the winter. We will see how that goes. But I think there is a case for it going lower, but the seasonal case at this stage is for it going up. So we will see how that goes. All right, great. Let's have a look at the bigger picture. Now, the first thing I want to show you is this is on Polymarket, and this is the chances that the Strait of Hormuz traffic returns to normal by the end of June. Well, actually, I've got May too. So end of May, that's down at 4% chance. End of June, I've got that at 28% chance. July, I've got that at 43% chance. The optimism is not high that the Strait of Hormuz is going to be returning to normal anytime soon. And the longer it doesn't return to normal, the more the supply crunch is going to affect us over the summer. So these are actually pretty bad numbers. And actually, even if you take this number at December the 31st, we've only got a 76% chance it's going to be normal by then. Optimism is not high, and there are good reasons why optimism is not high. All right, looking at Brent. Brent, we've still got a bull flag target at a retest of 134.91, but I think we'll probably pass that on the way going higher. We shall see. In terms of the signals, nothing on the monthly chart. We've got a possible weak RSI 14 sell signal on the weekly chart, but honestly, given the current circumstances, I don't think I'd pay any attention to that, even if it did fix. In terms of the daily chart here, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fix. That's not really delivering a lot. The RSI 5 sell signal did make target, and we've had 2 sell signals basically after this crisis started. Both of them have made target, so I'd be paying attention to that, but I'm not really paying attention to the RSI 14 one. In terms of the W tick chart, we've still got an IHS target there too. A bull flag target there too, and I've got that at 126.42. We've also got an extension target on a double bottom that broke up in 2021, and that is at a retest of the all-time high at 147.27. In terms of the weekly chart, we have got no current divergence really. Daily chart, no current divergence either, but I think this is basically heading back towards the highs, and then we will see where it goes from there. In terms of heating oil, we've already made the flag target, which was at 4.47, and we made it up to 4.71. I think this is likely going higher as well, but we don't have any upside targets to look at. In terms of the daily chart, no current divergence, but I think this is basically a flag, and we're heading back up into the retest of the high. We do have an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, but I was paying more attention to the RSI 5 sell signal, which has already made target. In terms of gas oil, we've still got a target above. I've got that in the 412 area. This has been making steady progress up month by month since the crisis started. This is the only one which really hasn't had a serious retracement in between. In terms of the weekly chart, we've got some sell signals brewing. I'm not really paying a lot of attention to that. We've got on this double bottom that broke up with the target in the 2.913 to 3.092 area. We're getting pretty close to the 3.83 to 4.05 area. We're getting pretty close to the 3.83 initial target, but I'm really expecting the retest of 412. In terms of the daily chart, again, same on the signals. We're pretty close to the high here, and we shall see. How big a high is that? It's the all-time high, pretty much, if we go back to 412. This is, or at least as far as this chart goes back, which is only 2005. But we've had some big highs here before. This was the Ukraine one at 412, which is the one we would be getting over. This is the big one in 2008. I'm not entirely sure why we had this one. So, I'm expecting it to make a new high. We shall see. All right, natural gas. Overall, this actually looks kind of bearish, particularly on the weekly chart, where this looks like a bear flag megaphone, which is trying to break down. But we're seeing a bit of a rally here. That rally may go higher, like the IHS target, which I've got marked on the 60-minute chart. Wouldn't be surprised to see the downtrend resume after that, as if this is a bear flag, then that would suggest we go back and retest this low here in the 1.886 area. All right, great. Let's have a look at precious metals. All right, GC. What I'm hoping to see is if this crisis deepens on the Iran war, and I'm thinking there's a pretty good chance it is going to deepen quite a lot on the Iran war, then I'm hoping this actually becomes a flight to safety. But my concern was that it would respond in the same way it had previously to the crisis getting. Well, awareness of the crisis getting more intense, and it's doing that so far. Now, this means that this double top has a decent shot, and that's broken down with the target in the 43.30 to 43.60 area. And I'm thinking once we get down below about 44.50, I'll be looking for that target. So we shall see. We've got a weak 6-minute buy signal fixed, and we've got a possible weak 6-minute buy signal brewing on silver, and we've got no current divergence on palladium, and actually we do. We've got a possible 60-minute buy signal brewing there too. And on platinum, we've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed, and on HG, we've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed. So I'm thinking we might see a rally on these. But so far, the reaction to oil going up and Iran concerns becoming deeper has basically been exactly what it was last time, and that was precious metals going down. So I'm not expecting them to go down an awful lot. I'm thinking that may well reverse, but we need to be aware of that relationship because it's still holding. In terms of HG, I was expecting this high, and I was thinking that'd be the second high of a double top, and we have come down nicely. Let's have a look at that on the bigger picture charts. All right, looking at gold. Okay, gold. We've got this beautiful rising bull flag channel here, and it's a peach. It really is. I'm expecting this to deliver, and in due course, I'm expecting to see a retest of the all-time high from this. But that doesn't need to be immediate. In the meantime, we've obviously got quite a lot of space. Even if we are forming a bull flag here, which we might, be. So I'm just going to draw that in here. If we are forming a bull flag here, and if that was, let's say, to be a bull flag channel, we would still be looking at a move down to about the 4400 area. Do we have an obvious trend line for that to go to? Nothing particularly obvious, no. But I'm thinking that may well be what's happening here, but it's not out of the bounds of possibility. We could actually come back and retest this low here at 4098.73. I'm not really expecting to see that. I'd be pretty surprised to see that, but we will see. So I'm watching that with great interest. But really, if the crisis gets deeper, and I'm thinking it might get a lot deeper, on Iran and on oil, and with a big decline on equities, then I'd really be looking for this to become a flight to safety destination, because I don't think we're likely to see that on bonds. All right, silver on the monthly chart. I think we've been having a bull flag here too. We have a bull flag which is broken up, but if you look here, we've got a pretty nice looking rising wedge, and that rising wedge is starting to break down. This could be a bear flag setting up a retest of this low here at 60.94. Now, if we get down there, I'll be thinking that is one hell of a buy. But obviously, we're up at 75 now, or 75 or 74 now, and obviously getting there would be a painful process to anyone who is long. So be aware of that possibility. In terms of palladium, I think this is a bull flag forming here too. I haven't got anything quite as specific as the other twos, but a real nice looking resistance trend line which has been broken. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see a retest this low here at 1343.50. In terms of platinum, I think this is a bull flag as well. That is broken up, but again, I wouldn't be astounded to see a retest this high here at 17.97. We shall see. In terms of copper, I was looking for a retest of this high here to set up the second high of a possible level top, and we have reached that, and then we've retraced half of it. I'm thinking this is a pretty good chance that this is a level top. I've got support at 5.27. In the event that we broke down from it, I'd be looking for a target in about 3.8 to 3.9 area, and I'm thinking we may well see that. In terms of the monthly charts, I've got a possible RSI 5 sell signal brewing. I'm thinking we could take a big hit on equities here, and I'm thinking that copper might take a big hit at the same time. We went back and retested that high. It is very well nicely set up to not quite halve. And I'm thinking it might do that. So in terms of the daily chart, no current divergence, but you can see the nice looking double top. We shall see how that develops. In terms of GDX, I'm wondering again about a retest of this low. GDXJ, I'm wondering about a possible retest of this low here as well. Not really looking for any lower than that, but I'm thinking this is basically a pullback, set up some reversal patterns and go higher. Because my real concern about gold has been not that there's any problem with the bull flag, because there isn't. It's really nice. But that I never saw a decent reversal pattern from the low. It may be that we're going to go and set that up now. We shall see. All right, let's have a look at the other commodities. In terms of KC, we had this long triangle which formed, it broke down, it retested the low, and I'm wondering whether this might be the second low of a double bottom. We've got a potential nested double bottom here, and it may deliver. Equally, it may not, and I'm slightly discouraged at how reluctant this has been to go up. But we've seen some interesting moves in commodities this week, not all of which make sense. Sugar, we broke down from this head and shoulders. It failed. I'm expecting to see a retest of this high. But we could form a triangle or something before we get there. At the moment, I'm wondering if that might be happening. In terms of CC, we had a nice bear flag. It broke up, made the bear flag target for a breakdown in the other direction. And we've now got a head and shoulders which has formed and broken down with a target in the 3500 area. I'm leaning towards it making that target. In terms of CT, we went higher here. I've got more to say about this on the daily chart. We are now testing the rising support from the March low. In terms of lumber, lumber still lost in space here. I'm leaning towards this breaking down into the larger downtrend that appears to be happening here. The obvious time to do that would be while equities and copper are going down. In terms of wheat, we've seen a much sharper retracement than I was expecting to see here. No current positive divergence. And on copper, sorry, on corn, the retracement was even sharper again, no positive divergence. In terms of soy, very sharp retracement again. We do have a 6-minute buy signal, which is now fixed. It was brewing when I did this, but it's actually fixing in the it's fixing overnight tonight. In terms of ZL, we've got pretty close to the highs. It looks like a bull flag forming. Live cattle, this looks like a bull flag, which is broken up with a target at a retest of this high. And lean hogs, I've rolled a few contracts today. I rolled CL and heating oil and gas oil into July. I rolled cattle and lean hogs into the August contracts. But here on the August contract on HE, this looks like a falling wedge. I'm wondering about it breaking up here. And we've got a possible double bottom set up here, or possible part formed IHS, waiting to see how this develops. But this overall has a bullish feel to it. We shall see whether it delivers. All right, great. Let's have a look at those on the bigger picture charts and on coffee. Coffee, we've continued down here. And I wouldn't be amazed to see it continue down further. We shall see. But at the moment, I had a nice looking bull flag set up here, and we're losing it. Now, it might be that we're still looking at a double bottom here, and we could see it move up. But at the moment, I'm not seeing much sign of that. And we've got no divergence either on the monthly or the daily. We shall see. In terms of sugar, we're seeing a nice little rally here. I need to be aware that, of course, this is in the context of a much larger head and shoulders, which has broken down with a target in the 9 area, and it may well be going to do that at some stage. But in the shorter term, this has been a nice looking rally, and we've got this very nice looking falling wedge here. Now, this is a bullish leaning pattern. We would tend to see a break up from it and then a retracement, and then potentially we can go down after that. We shall see. As long as it didn't get back over this level here at 23.71, it wouldn't be a problem. In terms of invalidating the head and shoulders. We will see how it goes, but I'm liking the upside. In terms of the daily charts, no current divergence. Not got a decent looking double bottom here. I was wondering about possibly another retest of the low. We shall see whether we get it. In terms of cocoa, we've seen a very nice rally here. Might be that it's petering out. We have been seeing a sharp decline here. I'm not seeing a really obvious topping pattern here, but there is a possible head and shoulders. We might just be going back for the back test of this broken resistance trend line in the 3,500 area though. In terms of cotton, we had a double bottom here. That's broken up, and actually that's made target. So hang on, wait a second. That made target on Friday, I think. We did it. Wait a second. No, made target on Thursday. All right, so hang on. Right, reach target, that would be 13th. 14th. Okay, so that's now made target. So what now? Actually, I haven't got a what now. We've got potentially higher targets. We are still looking at a much more serious, we're still looking at a fairly serious fertilizer shortage and increase in their prices, but that was the target in cotton, and it's already made it. No current negative divergence. Wondering if we might set some up and retrace. That wouldn't be a good fit with my thesis that we're likely to see the grains go higher. In terms of the daily chart, we've got a weak RSI 14 sell signal fixed. The RSI 5 sell signal is already made to target. Actually, that's a full size sell signal that's fixed now, I think. So may well make that target. Doesn't look as though it's finished, and it's back below the daily middle band. In terms of lumber, the bigger picture is bearish, and I've been talking about this for minimum of the last year. We've got a nice looking bear flag. We've got that target should in due course deliver a retest of 35250. We've also got a double top in here. First high, second high, broke down back in, well, almost a year ago now, back last summer, and that's broken down also with the target and about 35250 area. Sooner or later, I'm expecting to head off to that target. However, it's been very keen to trade sideways and is still doing that. No current divergence. In terms of wheat, I've got a double bottom here, which is broken up with a target in the 739 to 742 area. I would love to see that target made. I think there's a very good chance that target will be made, and I think the fertilizer shortage of fertilizers coming through the Strait of Hormuz may well deliver that. But we're seeing a sharp retracement at the moment. In terms of signals, we've got an RSI 14 sell signal fixed, fairly old one, and we haven't broken back below the daily middle band here. I'd quite like to see that hold. In terms of corn, we've got a double bottom here. We haven't broken up from it yet. I've got resistance at about the 504.50 area. Again, we've been seeing a bit of retracement. I'm not taking it that seriously. We did break down below the daily middle band, but we've broken back above it since. We shall see. But really, overall, I'm expecting this to go higher. Soybeans, again, we made it up to the IHS neckline, and we have pulled back sharply, but I'm thinking this is likely to go up, and I would be looking for a target at about the 1560 area. In terms of the daily chart, no current divergence. We shall see. All right, let's have a look at crypto. Okay, crypto. We are still looking at bear flag setups here. In terms of Bitcoin, we are still above the weekly middle band, although we're getting closer to it. We've seen a sharp retracement from the 200 DMA, and overall, this looks like a bear flag. Sorry, a bear flag, which in due course, with equities, I've been talking about this heading back and retesting this low here at 60.1k. I think we're on that way. Now, we could see a retest the high first. I'm looking for some topping patterns. There's a head and shoulder option, neckline option at about 74.9k, but I'm liking the downside. In terms of Solana, well, actually, this is the bigger picture. This is a beautiful bear flag channel, and I'm expecting it to deliver. And I think the obvious time for it to deliver is when equities go down, which I'm expecting them to fairly soon. All right, in terms of Solana, we moved up to the weekly middle band and have failed there. I'm expecting that failure to continue. On the daily chart, we are back and we are testing the flag support, which is interesting. That's new this weekend. We shall see. Yep. That is breaking below it. Oh no, it's just testing it. Okay, that more or less kills off the move up to this 100 that I was looking for. But we've got a nice looking bear flag here. In due course, I'm expecting this to deliver a retest of this low here at 67.65. And if equities have a very bad summer, then probably go through to the next level, which on Solana would probably be in about the 40 area. We shall see, but this is going as planned. All right, looking at Ethereum. Ethereum, we also failed at the weekly middle band. That's a very, very obvious level to fail. We've got nice move down. In terms of the flag here, we've not quite made it back to flag support, but we are a long way towards it. And actually, that's that's almost 2/3 of the way back to the low, just reaching that. The flag support I've got in about the 2000 area. The target for the flag is in the 1746 low area at the beginning of February. And again, I'm expecting to see it made. Not necessarily expecting to find a low there, but I'm expecting to see that reached. We shall see. All right, great. In that case, I think it's a wrap. I will catch everyone on Wednesday, and I will see you then. All right, cheers.